I don't think that there's a whole lot of challenges, conservative mindset and minority. I think, and this is just my opinion, I think that most minorities are naturally conservative in nature. Whether I'm talking to the Black community, the Latino community, the various Indian communities, to Middle Eastern, Muslim communities, like you name it, most of us are minorities, or not minorities, but most of us are conservative in nature. We are all about our family oriented. Most of us have, mother, father, grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle. We're all around us within probably a 5-mile radius, right? We all practice whatever religion it is. We all are very faith-based. We don't like government in our business. We are very business mindset. We're very, entrepreneurial. We all have our little small businesses. We're very much so also, we don't like taxes. We're not about big, white, sweeping taxation like the Democrat Party loves. We're more about lower the taxation, Milton Friedman approach, free market, capitalism. So we're not about socialism or Marxism or communism. So I don't really understand. I've always had these conversations with, let's say, more progressive minorities or liberal, and I'm always shocked to look at them and say, how did you get there? How did you get there? Because you're the one that's off base with the culture, not the other way around. We tend to be very conservative. And I think that, you sit back and you look at how we got there, and I think that was a lot of media manipulation, whether it was mainstream media, CNNs, your MSNBCs, do you name it? Just the propaganda machines that are out there to kind of change the mentality to go away from our conservative principles to things that we would naturally not accept. And as I said, it doesn't matter what minority group that we're talking about. I think there's a set of principles where we're like, the Democrat Party is a little bit way off on who and what we are. So I think the challenges that I face is undoing the indoctrination or the stranglehold that the more progressive ideology has on our communities, because there's a lot of stuff they do that doesn't benefit us at all. The way that I look at it is like virtue signaling. Like there's a whole lot of virtue signaling. Like, let me hire this Black female gay, and it's always like 5 or 6 different labels, and I'm like, okay, well, how did that help put food on our table? How did that help lower our taxes? How did that help our education? How did that help? There's just, a lot of things where I'm like, none of this does anything for us. And I think Disney was a good example of that recently. You had all these Disney losing dang near $1 billion+ of loss, and a lot of it had to deal with virtue signaling to minorities, where you got to have a minority or Black, female, as I said, gay for some reason, and all these other additional identifiers. And people are like, we just want to see a Disney princess. My daughter over here is like, I just want to see a Disney princess. I don't care about all the extra whatever. And I think that is the biggest challenge I face. Not only that, but the soft bigotry of low expectations is something that I've always faced as well. Is I believe that I'm good enough to compete on the merits of my resume, who I am, not based upon the color of my skin. And I think that has been one of the hardest challenges to fight against some of these ones who sit on the left in the minority community and want me to believe that I'm oppressed, that I'm some sort of victim of a bigger grand scheme. I'm chasing a ghost of some form of, institutionalized or systematic racism that I just frankly don't see existing in the United States. Is it so? Do we have cases of it? Yes, we have cases, but I don't think that we have a mass scale institution or system that we're facing here in America that I need to constantly be afraid of and wake up in the morning and be like, oh my God, white supremacy is everywhere. I think that it comes down to conservative principles of hard work, put your head in the books. And we see this reflective in statistics between the Indian community is great at this when it comes to education. The Asian community is great when it comes to education. They're getting into Harvard. They're getting into all the Ivy Leagues. They're becoming doctors, engineers, you name it. And I'm like, why can't we replicate that in the Black community, the Latino community, or things like that, right? And we can learn from each other as different minorities to say, hey, how do we replicate the success that we're seeing? And to me, it has nothing to do with oppressed versus oppressor. It just has to deal with discipline. It has to deal with work ethic. It has to deal with family values, what parents are instilling into the children. Instead of being around or going around and partying and doing all that nonsense, keep your head in the books. Play sports. Do things that help benefit you or create the success that you need to get to an Ivy League institution if you want to go there, or become a military person, or I don't know, whatever your dreams are, you got to work. And I think that has been the hardest thing to advocate for when you have media, you have politicians, you have celebrities, you have all these organizations saying you'll never amount to anything, or you're oppressed, white people bad all the time. And I'm like, all this negative message hurts the mentality of the minority to be able to understand that if they just take advantage of the American dream, which is, work hard. Nothing's going to be handed to you. Keep your head in the books. Education is the key to success. And if you face an obstacle, you don't give up at the obstacle. You work your way around that obstacle. You work through that obstacle. Find mentors. Find people around you that will help you get through that obstacle. You keep going. But the answer isn't to give up and just blame a form of an institution or a system or whatever. Like, I'm here. Shoot, if you have an obstacle, for anyone that watches this, I don't mind helping. We'll get through it together. But I think that is the biggest thing that I'm facing, is just, even with DE&I, the recent DE&I struggle, it's so annoying to hear we need to boost this amount of a certain color, rather than, how about people compete based upon their resumes? How about people compete based upon their qualifications, and we remove that race factor from it, gender factor, whatever it is, but allow people to compete based upon the merit rather than what they look like or who they, choose to be in a relationship with. I don't know what's going on in America right now, but that's what's going on, sir, is this just craziness where I feel like slowly but surely we're getting people to come back to and gravitate towards common sense. But there's just so much emotion in America right now with all this identity politics that it's going to take a while to be able to get us back on an understanding that we don't need any of this virtue signaling. We're doing quite well as minorities. And if we embrace conservative values, we'll see a whole lot of success. We got to divorce ourselves from the government. And I don't mean because I'm anti-government or anything. What I mean by that is, more government means less success in your life. Less government means more independent, and you're doing more, or you're doing better, or you're having more successful life. The left loves to do this wide sweeping policies and create this dependence where you have to keep going back for I don't know what it is, welfare to, I call it the welfare state. And it's not just, SNAP, HUD or anything. It's just coming to the government for whatever you need. I believe that we should create our own wealth. We should separate from them and be like, if I need you, government, I'll ask for you. But I don't need, I understand you're there, but I don't need, and that's where you truly build that independence, that success, and that freedom. And that's something I'm trying to get across to the minority communities, that you don't want Big Daddy government breathing down your neck every 2 seconds. You want them off over here and you. So I think that's my struggle.